I ain't get to roll no weed, I ain't get to roll no swishes. I was locked up on Christmas. I ain't get to see my brothers. I ain't get to hug my mama. Couldn't even give her no kisses. Can't even post on my Instagram, cause these pussy fellas be snitching. Everybody acting suspicious. Might probably say that I'm tripping when I'm all alone in my jail cell. I tend to get in my feelings, and all I smoke is that loud. Don't pass me no midget, and I'ma smoke all of my pain away, cause that's the only thing that gon' heal it. I don't understand these women who go around pretending as if they really fuck with me. So I love them all from a distance, cause the same bitch say she down to ride, be the main one who trickin'. Got Molly mixed with promethazine beat, cause every time I wake up in the morning I got murder on my mind. AK-47, Mac 11, Glocks and 9s, and all these pussy fellas hating, trying to knock me off my grind, but I can't let them do it. I got murder on my mind, bitch, I got murder on my mind. 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 Oh, I got murder on my mind. I got murder on my mind. I got murder on my mind. Oh, yellow tape around his body. It's a fucking homicide. His face is on a t-shirt, and his family traumatized. I didn't even mean to shoot him. He just caught me by surprise. I reloaded my pistol, cocked it back and shot him twice. His body dropped down to the floor, and he got teardrops in his eyes. He grabbed me by my hands and said he was afraid to die. I told him it's too late, my friend, it's time to say goodbye. And he died inside my arms, blood all on my shirt. Wake up in the morning, I got murder on my mind.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me.
Turn on your mind now, tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective in the data and the soul. The hive mind's getting louder, finding voice and control. Late night in Moscow, where nothing ever happens. Night burns in the moonlight, no escape. White night, yon day lurking, not even a door.
Paranoid searches for a four-fusion ride. Under surveillance, nowhere to hide. Influence creeps like blood on the floor. Fine line between peace and war. From campus to crypt, the script looks tragic, mystic and twisted. Magic turn manic. All crew lingers, but the echo remain. Chains of the slain in eternal pain.
And here we go.
Welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
What's going on, Hive? Happy Saturday night. Mrs. Birdie and I, we got home after the museum and a lovely steak dinner. So that was really fun. And I have not watched the Conrad Harrison interview yet. So I was going to watch it, and I figured I'll see what the mods are up to, and I might as well react in real time here in the Hive. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm your host, Birdie. Typically, I go live weeknights at 7 p.m. Central, and this is a Contrarian Thinking live stream. we think past the headlines. We question the narrative. We like to look at the peripheral players, such as some of the Sigma Chi brothers that may have known Ethan, as well as the other victims inside of 1122 King Road in regards to the Idaho 4 case. And we're going to be diving into it. This is going to be a much less structured stream than the weeknight streams, but I think that'll be fun. And let me go ahead and get my screen shared. How's everybody doing tonight? There we go. Let's see who's all in here. Then we will go ahead and get this started. Please still go ahead, hit that like button. I'll put this full screen if you guys do want to screenshot the QR code. And after the live concludes, that will take you to all the Hive socials. Please join our Discord. That's how you would have gotten an update and an alert for this live. So I will post the live announcements, or my mods will, in there if there's anything like this that will randomly pop up or a schedule change is needed. And then if you want to use the emojis and get a Hive Mind next to your name, join Hive Plus. The mods will be dropping that link. We just launched that last week. It's been going great. It's awesome to see the fun emojis in there, which, by the way, guys, somebody left a comment on one of my TikToks. I don't know what I was thinking. So when Jeffrey Gentry was on the stream, so obviously his name's Jeffrey, right? I said at the end of the stream, let's drop a bunch of "God damn it, Jeff" emojis into the chat. And he probably had no idea that there's this massive troll, Jeff H., that has been just causing havoc in the Hive for months now. And so not only did Jeffrey maybe take the brunt of it for saying that he's been on Nancy Grace talking about the Guthrie case, the host says, let's all drop a bunch of "God damn it, Jeff" emojis. He's probably so lost and confused when it comes to, did this birdie dude prep a bunch of bird emojis that say my name? Like, oh, I didn't even, I've edited the live. I've posted the quick cut today, and I didn't notice that until I was driving to the museum with Mrs. Birdie. I'm like, oh my God, we were cracking up. So did anybody catch that before I just said that? Did anybody know that? Because I kind of feel bad about that. I'm going to have to explain it to him. Oh, well, let's go ahead and let's get into it. So shout out to, first and foremost, I want to give a big plug to Connor .H8. Tons of FOIA requests. It's been extremely helpful as far as the peripheral players go. And Officer Morris, the body cam was a big one. He's got Warner's body cam. He's got a ton. He's got Brian's classmate. And so make sure you go subscribe to Connor .H8. Here is his profile. Great work. And I'm very appreciative of it, Connor. Thank you. Now, we're going to be watching Conrad Harrison, who's a Sigma Chi brother. This is from December 14th of 2022. And let me go ahead and make sure that I got the captions on. And let's see if there's another. I'll do voice boost. And there we go. All right. Yeah, Birdie, you better get on the phone quick. I know. Nope, you didn't miss much, Crop Duster. You didn't miss much at all. Actually, we'll give people a couple more minutes to get in here just because it was random. Maybe they'll see their alert. So I'll say what's up. We could chat for about 2-3 more minutes. What's up, Sarah? Multiples Mama. Scout 0319, formerly known as Beck. Good to see you. Sorted Out Sleuthing. Hibiscus Girl. Sleuther Dare. Ass Man Unredacted. The redacted and the unredacted names are getting out of control, Hive. It's not okay, because now in my normal everyday conversation, I'll throw the joke in there to Mrs. Birdie about like, well, you can't redact my butthole. Like, what a weird time. What a weird time we're living in. What's going on with Thierry Don? Said totally random, but pleasantly surprised. Yeah. You know, I used to do the weekend streams a lot. It was getting to be a little bit much as far as having time to continue to research and edit, but random nights like this, I think are fun. And I think it kind of keeps you on your toes, keeps me on my toes. What's up, Beyond Reasonable Doubt? Love and Other Habits. Hey, I think it was you actually that pointed this out on my TikTok. If you have the same username, I think I saw your comment. Tripsy Turvy, happy Easter. Happy Easter to everybody in here as well. So, all right, guys, please hit that like button. Share this out to anybody that you know in the Hive that doesn't know that I am live right now. And let's get going on this, shall we? So, I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger here. Let me just adjust this. All right, there we go. So this is Conrad Harrison, Sigma Chi brother from December 14th of 2022. This came out a day ago. I'm sure some people have listened to it. And like I said, I got home from dinner with my wife. I was going to watch this anyways because I have not seen it. And I figured I would pop on the live and we can do this together almost as a live reaction, live dig into it. Sound good, everybody? Let's get going.
Okay. It's December 14th, 2022. This is Detective Sergeant Mike Van Leuven with the Idaho State Police. I'm here at the Moscow Police Department interviewing, and it is 5:18 p.m. Was one of Ethan's pledge class brothers. So, when did you first meet Ethan?
I first met Ethan, it would have been, I'm not sure the exact date, but whatever day, last year's Rush ended.
So you didn't know him before Rush?
No, I met him in college, when we pledged together. I believe it was sometime around August, I want to say like 15th, 18th, somewhere around there. But I'm not 100%.
August of 21?
Yeah, last year. Yeah.
And have you obviously his attend? Do you know obviously? Do you know?
Yeah, I know them both.
Do you know their parents at all?
But didn't know them too well until more recently.
After this happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I kind of started talking to them, you know.
So, did Ethan talk to you much about his past, his background, like when he was in high school and stuff?
Not too much. All I kind of knew about his background was that he had played a lot of sports, was always kind of more on the popular side, not like a, super popular kid or anything, but just kind of always well off and never really had any, crazy things going on. Just seemed like a kid who always kind of just did whatever and had fun doing it kind of thing. But I didn't know too much about his past.
Did he have a lot of...
Lillian Adeline from Detective Mowry has his daughter listening for the first time. Well, I hope you and your father have a fantastic Easter. And you can ask your dad about this, but I know my mother will not be attending your family Easter, Lillian.
Friends outside Sigma Chi?
From what I can tell, yeah. Even just like not at this university, I'd always seen text a lot of people back home because I lived with them. Last semester? Lived with them last semester. And then also just around campus and everything, aside from the SIGs, he was very popular.
Were you in before?
Yeah, I lived with last semester. But yeah, he was very popular with the fraternities and sororities. He'd go to, I feel like he knew a guy from every house. There'd be a party one weekend or something at a different fraternity, and he'd just text someone that he knew there, and they'd get him in. So it was almost like he had connections everywhere, kind of. But yeah, very, very well-liked person, for sure.
What fraternities primarily are you talking about that he would be able to go to their parties?
The parties that he mainly would go to would be Pike, if he would go there, for like the actual fraternity party at Pike. He didn't really go to other fraternity parties like that were thrown at the house because there were a lot that couldn't, a lot of chapters that couldn't, but he would go to a lot of like out of house parties of like delts, betas, and then I'm trying to think. I think that was pretty much it.
Just like people like lived in the Whites. They would have people over.
Lived in the Whites, lived on Kings, kind of just lived around. It depends.
My first kind of the thing that sticks out to me is this seems like a conversation that you would expect to hear from somebody that may have information about a case. He seems to be directing his questions in a certain order and down a certain path. And you could tell that going into this interview, he obviously had a plan, not just random questions to gather random information. Already, you know, we're 3 minutes and 44 seconds into it. I can tell it feels like this officer has a plan and is walking Conrad down a certain path in his line of questioning. Do you guys pick up on that as well?
Ended, but yeah.
Did he ever talk about having problems with anybody at any of these parties?
Not really. I mean, the most that he would talk about having problems with people would be like, you know, some drunken idiot that was playing with a speaker or something and messing with it, and he'd be like, you know, screw off. But like, it was never physical altercations or anything, never screaming, never yelling, never anything that wasn't okay the next day after, where, you know, they talked to the guy or saw them again and they apologized for like, hey, I'm sorry, I was drunk last night, it was my bad. But yeah, not anything that I ever saw of him actually really having issues with anyone.
So what kind of personality, how would you describe his personality?
Very electric. He was just a very happy, kind of go-lucky person. I don't know, he was always just cracking jokes and kind of giggling, and he never really took anything too seriously. But just kind of had a good time while he was doing it, and had a strong work ethic though, and could really kind of buckle down and get stuff done when he needed to. But when he was just, you know, relaxing and hanging out, it was just bubbly, giggly Ethan.
So, you know, when we remember people, we want to remember the good things about them. But if there's any bad things, I need to know that too. So
yeah,
if you have problems with drugs or money or cheating on Xana or some Xana cheating on.
Finally, again, I'm hearing this for the first time. So you guys may have seen this. I have not. Finally, someone's coming out and saying it. Just, did he have problems with money or drugs? Did he cheat on Xana? Right? It just, it feels so different than Dylan or Bethany or Hunter or anybody else that's been questioned, especially in the MPD interviews. This seems just very to the point. You're going to have to tell me. I understand it's easy to talk about the good stuff. What's the bad stuff? And I think that that's a positive as far as for this interview goes.
Him or something we just don't know about.
Yeah.
You guys got to tell us.
From what I know, I mean, he struggled in school. I knew that he did pretty poorly his first semester here. But he understood that, got a tutor. And his next semester, I think he was, well, that would have been this semester, but he was on track to move back into the house. I think he had a 3.3 or something. So he obviously fixed the issues there. As far as drugs, he drank a lot. He would smoke occasionally.
Thank you, Donnie Brooke Kennels. As a reminder, any super chat over $4.99 will pop up right here. I know it's a little bit smaller right now, but Donnie Brooke Kennels, I agree. Someone's going to crack. And for all we know, somebody may have already cracked in an interview that just hasn't been FOIA'd. Has anybody ever thought about that? There could be an interview that has not been publicly released where it could absolutely shed. Yeah, they might have already cracked. It could shed details on things that we don't see in the documents. And for, I don't know, Idaho, this was done on December 14th of 2022. So about 2 weeks, about a month, actually, after the murders.
Marijuana. And he would do Adderall a good amount.
I'm going to go back a little bit.
He would smoke occasionally marijuana. And he would do Adderall a good amount. He'd usually pair that with drinking.
Where do you think he got the Adderall from?
I'm not sure. I just know that there was a lot of people around here that would sell it, and he'd be like, I need Adderall tonight, and he'd text a few people, and then he'd have Adderall that night.
But those are just like other kids that have prescriptions. They're just...
But didn't people say that Ethan was prescribed? And so, because if you remember when, again, I'm going to refer back to the Steve Goncalves text with the TikTok creator Brad Norton. He talked about, meaning Steve, he had referred to the tox report saying that they came back all clear, and Stacy had said the same thing. So I'm not sure if maybe that was normal. Donnie Brooke Kendall says DM, the most unstable. But in a way, DM, as much as it's frustrating to have to listen to those interviews, she did not crack. She stuck to her kind of amnesia-esque story through multiple interviews. But yeah, it definitely is an unstable story.
I assume so.
There's not like a guy that you go to get your Adderall that has an illegal supply of Adderall here.
No. It was, from what I could tell, it was just, kids that had prescriptions that were just selling their own pills to people to make some extra money.
Okay. Any conflicts ever arise over that? Anybody get mad that they feel like they got shorted or didn't get paid? Or
no, I don't think so. And then if there ever was something like that, Ethan, if, say, someone was going to give him something and he didn't have the money on him or something, he'd always get them back the next day with the same amount or more, or give them a rack on top of it or something. He always made up for it.
Okay.
And then as far as going on that still, when I lived with Ethan, he had told me that like Adderall and weed was like the most he wanted to do, that he didn't want to do cocaine or anything. That was kind of a big thing for him. I know he did do it once, and he felt really bad about it. And I talked to him about it, and then after that, it looked kind of like he didn't.
He did what once? Cocaine?
Cocaine once. Yes. From what I knew, I don't know if he did it again, but he's only told me once. And then after that, we talked about it, and he said that he didn't want to do it again. Like, he wanted to kind of stick to what he originally wanted and felt bad about it. So that was never like a ongoing issue. He never had an addiction with that or anything, but that did just happen once, from what I can tell.
Over at 1122.
What did you say?
Over at 1122, the house that Xana lived in.
Where he did it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was there. I think it might have been at some other out-of-house one night.
Where did he spend most of his time?
Usually at the house over in apartment.
Yeah, hang on. I got to go back and hear that.
Other out-of-house one night.
Where did he spend most of his time?
Usually at the house over in apartment. I don't know. Have you talked to Kai?
Yeah, that's in.
Yeah. Down by the lower floor.
Yeah. He used to live there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
definitely two mans back then. There's no such thing as a one man and a single guy back then. I don't know where you guys started that from.
Well, we started it because, the beds, no one wanted to sleep on a bunk bed. So, but anyway, he'd spend most of his time, at least more recently, in there. Like this last semester, he lived obviously up closer to the 76, but he'd wake up every day, drive down, and just come hang out at the house all day to, be with the guys.
Did you get the feeling that he stayed most of the time at his apartment near the 76, or that he stayed with Xana?
It was more often him staying with Xana. From what I could tell, I feel like he was rarely at his apartment. He'd either stay at the house or stay at Xana's most of the time, from what I knew. But as far as those two together, there was no cheating or any issues in that relationship. It seemed like a match made in heaven for me. So, yeah, there was nothing negative that I really know about there. And everyone at the house, loved Xana. We all knew her. A lot of people knew her before Ethan knew her and started dating her. And then when they did start dating, everyone just was very happy about it. So
Interesting. Had a relationship with her?
Yeah, did. We were very close with her. They never started dating or anything.
So who do you think's being redacted out of there? Does anybody know?
Because I also live with
no hard feelings between Peter and Ethan about any of that?
Is he saying Pete?
No, they were the best of friends. Would joke with Ethan about it, that they both slept with the same girl and stuff, and
But doesn't it kind of say because obviously that's what I assumed too, narrative combatant, that it was his brother, but I could have swore that it sounded like he was saying P, there was a P before. That's why I was confused. I could have just been hearing just the audio popping, I guess, before they redacted it.
That kind of stuff. But originally I'm sure Pete wasn't too thrilled about it, but it was his best friend dating his other best friend, so I think in the end he was completely fine with it, from what I could tell. They all
I feel like it might have been Pete.
Boys hung out together before they were dating, and then when they started dating, nothing changed. They all would still continue to hang out with each other and laugh and have good times.
While we're on that kind of line of thought, were you familiar with any of the other girls in the house at 1122?
Just Xana.
Just Xana.
Just Xana.
So you didn't know Maddie or
Yeah, I didn't know Kaylee at all. I had met Maddie before, like I said earlier, at parties or stuff, because I was over at Xana's house pretty often, because they would pretty much just for a little get-togethers every night, and that's kind of where the guys just kind of went over. Some of them would, and that was before when she had her house down the street from the current one. I think it's AKL's live there now, but it's right by when you come into King Street and then turn left, it's right at that dumpster, the bend going up towards her house, if that makes sense. It is this one. That's where she used to live last.
Is that an apartment?
No, it's a house.
It's a very large house. How many people live there?
And so if he's talking about Xana's house, just so people know, I am fairly confident that it is referred to as the Shark Tank house, which would be the house across the street from 1112. And as far as where was that apartment, thank you, Donnie Brooke Kennel, for the super chat. As far as where was Ethan's apartment, do we have an exact address on that? I don't know off the top of my own head, but I don't think that. Does anybody know where his actual address was? Yeah, 1119 is Shark Tank. Yep. That's like the nickname for the house. That's why I think he was saying it's a very large house.
Am I? Oh, no. I'm
Here's 1122. Here's where the homicides occurred.
Yeah, no.
Here's the whites.
This is a house.
This is a
It's just a really long one story. But there's like a room here, and then I think back over here, and then like another area over there.
So for the record, he's pointing out on a Google Earth map.
Christ, that must have been a hell of a throat clearing.
So did you go to 1122? Have you ever been to this house?
Yes, I've been there pretty frequently as well.
Recently?
And for people that don't know, this is on one of the noise complaints he's seen there with Hunter, who was the one that had the knife when the responding officers that you see on the body cam after the 911 call. So this was on, I think this was back in September. This was the noise complaint, if I'm remembering correctly. So he is telling the truth about that he's been there frequently.
Not recently. You mean in terms of after the event?
No, before.
Oh,
did you
before.
Like go over there and hang out and drink and stuff?
Yeah, but that was a pretty common thing because back at the other house that Zane used to have, they had 5 roommates. They'd all invite us over.
How many times would you say this year you've been over to 1122 hanging out?
Probably like 10, 15, 20 in that kind of range, like a good amount.
Okay, so when you're over there hanging out, did you ever observe any conflicts, fights, arguments that happened over there? Anybody getting kicked out because of their behavior? Any girls complaining about the way guys were acting?
Not really. I'm trying to think.
Understand that there was a lot of betas that would hang out there and a lot of adults that would hang out there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Was there any other houses besides those 2 fraternities that often had people come over?
It was pretty much just those 2 and the Sigma Chi's.
Any problems between Sigma Chi's, adults, betas? I mean, adults kind of have a reputation.
Yeah.
They've had it forever. When I was here, they had the same reputation they do now. So we didn't get along with them.
No, I completely understand. As far as Ethan goes, there was never really anyone getting mad at Ethan or him really getting mad at other people. The delts and betas that usually came were usually on sort of the better end of the spectrum as far as the house because they were, Ethan actually tolerated them being there. Otherwise he wouldn't have gone over. Because we have some issues with betas and delts as well. But there was never really any physical fights at all that I knew of or saw or even heard about there. I knew there was a couple delts that did get into fights, but those were at different places down the street. I'm trying to think.
Dude, that dude writing, his hand has to be so cramped by now. Do you hear how fast? That's got to be a pen on paper, right? That can't be somebody taking shorthand notes. That's got to be the detective or the officer writing that down. That he is writing a mile a minute.
Never really heard anything or saw anything for any issues with girls or anything.
Did the girls ever complain about anybody? Did the girls ever complain about somebody watching them, stalking them, following them, harassing them? Anything like that?
Not that I ever heard.
I want to stop there. I want to actually talk about this. I find the whole stalking comment, while yes, there was no proof that Brian Koberger was the stalker, does anybody else find it odd that comment comes up so often? It made its way into the mainstream narrative, as we know, but they put it onto Brian Koberger. My question is, why does that come up in damn near every interview almost? There has to have been something that when they say stalking, are they alluding to just very over the top wanting, like, I know what stalking is. Let me just try to explain this right. But if it's a peer of theirs, is it still classified stalking when it really could just be somebody not getting the hint? Like where it comes to the point of now you got to start telling, your friends like, this dude's not leaving me alone. Do you know what I'm saying? That's how it's starting to sound like me. When they say stalking, it seems like there's just somebody not getting the hint. I don't think it's just some shadowy figure in a hood. And that's the thing. Like, so Love and Other Habits, that's the point that's a great question, actually. And that's a point that I want to touch on is, would everybody know? Like, would Kaylee just walk around telling people? I don't believe so if it was really just a random person, but I could see like, oh, this dude is creepy. He will not leave me alone. He's like stalking me. Does that make sense? Does anybody else feel like that might be how and why that, that keeps getting asked? Or they could just be trying to make sense of it. That's a good point too. I'm for says, but wouldn't there be a name with the stalker? There probably is a name with the stalker. But like everything else in this case, I would not be surprised if it is redacted. Sleuth Derek, great question. Or would she try, being Kaylee, try to figure out who it is herself? I'm for says, I think the only reason why everybody brings up stalker is because Dylan planted the idea in people's heads. That was everywhere for a while. Stalker redacted bananas. Aaron RD, that's another great couple of questions. Why no connection to Kaylee? What's the deal there? Does knowing her implicate them in some other way? Right. And formerly known as Beck, coming over the top with a mainstream media talking point, but they'll say it was BK regardless. That they will.
The closest thing to that was there was this weird kind of guy walking around the street that looked like he was high off something. I think the police actually did talk to him forever ago. I think he was probably like drunk riding his bicycle and he fell into some car on King Street or something. So I don't know the whole story there, but he was just kind of staying around that area. And I had a friend in a house next to there.
Hang on.
Oh, sorry.
Can't spell bicycle. No.
Right. So Terry Dawn, thank you for bringing that up, because they did say that it was just some random guy who followed her to her car at the store. They interviewed him already, but then there's the package issue, and we don't have the details on that yet, which, by the way, that's also wild. I'm pretty sure the majority of people know this, but in the police report that talks about the envelope that the sorority received, and it was, I got it right here. I'm not sure how many people have seen this, but this is pretty crazy. The envelope was addressed to, and now again, I'm going to butcher the name. I was not in Greek life, but you guys get the point. It was addressed to the sorority house via the blank. The return information on the envelope was redacted and had a drawing after blank. The envelope contained several playing cards with John F. Kennedy's likeness, stamps, a cutout bracelet, several handmade drawings on paper, a Sports Illustrated picture of Kate Upton in a bikini affixed to the card, as well as a note. The note read, quote, "I feel the hurt you must be going through. I've lost too many too. Love and peace will come, but till then, just know." The note was signed blank blank. Nobody at that sorority house knew who the sender was, nor was anyone expecting a letter of that nature. Detective Heinley photographed the envelope and its contents. The letter was taken and immediately submitted to the Moscow Police Department evidence for DNA testing. Blank and blank said the mail had been sorted and was given to them by blank blank, who is a blank at the University of Idaho. I contacted blank, who told me he received it from the blank on December 5th. After conferring with ISP Sergeant Mike Van Leuven, I recontacted blank and blank to collect DNA samples for rule-out purposes since they opened and handled the letter. At 15:47 hours, blank and blank returned. I collected buccal swabs samples from each of them and submitted the samples to MPD. Evidence the same day for DNA testing. The photographs will be saved to a USB drive under supplement number 072 and submitted to Moscow Police Department evidence. Yeah, JFK was also known as Jack. And So one of the things that kind of caught my eye about this, and I'm going to get back to the Conrad interview, but just as far as what somebody in the Hive was saying about this, what's really interesting about the about that letter, and let me just go ahead and find this because I have notes on this. Okay. So I don't know if I can find it now. Shoot. Sorry, I'm looking in Canva on my other pages. Give me a second here. Because I was trying to figure out, like, what does that mean? Right? What could that mean? And it is rather interesting that the envelope, has a picture of JFK, and then Jack was also a nickname. And it's weird that mainstream media probably barely will ever touch on that again. But you have an assassinated president, a hypersexualized model, and childish art, meaning, in a way, and one of my buddies, I had sent this to them, and we kind of came up with this sentence as to what it could say. And it's like, your safety, your beauty, and your innocence was all executed in one night. If you look at the card of JFK, you look at stamps, the cut-out bracelets, several handmade drawings on the paper, and a Sports Illustrated of Kate Upton in the bikini. There's something there. There is symbolism there. And I just saw a couple super chats come in. Donnie Brooke Kettles asked, and thank you for the super chat, said, have you ever visited the campus in the town? You get a good feel of the Greek life. No, I have not. I would like to go out there. I'd like to go out there and see it firsthand. Maybe do a couple of streams from out there in that area. That would be interesting. But it's definitely on my to-do list. And the White Rabbit 9, thank you for the super chat, said, Jack Showalter told ISP that the rumors came from the sororities. Many people didn't hear about the stalking rumors until later. Stalkers reported as black, then white guy. The ex-sorority sisters are sus, in my opinion. Thank you for that clarification. And there's been a couple of things that have flip-flopped. I remember, too, just going off of that, the DoorDash driver was originally, everybody said it was a male. Do you guys remember when they were saying that the DoorDash driver was a guy? And JFK was killed on 11/22. Holy hell, that's right. Jesus. There's so many Jacks. Jack S, Jack D, Jake, Jack in the Box, FF, JFK. It's so weird. That town is a portal to hell. You're right. Yeah. It kind of sounds like DM's art on her bedroom wall. Yeah, there's zero coincidences in that. So, all right, let's get back to this interview.
You think he was contacted by police?
Well, we did see a police car pull up and talk to him. So they didn't arrest him or take him into custody. So I assume that whatever was going on was relatively harmless. This was probably about a month before everything happened. The only reason I mentioned that is just because I had a friend who's female who lives in a house. It was on the other side of the street of the one I just showed you, Santa's old house. Mm-hmm. She lives over there, and she said that she saw him kind of just out pacing around outside her window, and I just texted her to say, like, hey, do you want me to go over there and kind of check if he's still there? And, like,
what was her name?
Her name was, I believe is her last name.
Do you have her number?
I don't have her phone number. I have her Snapchat.
Was she in a house?
She's a DG.
She phoned you to say this guy's pacing around outside my apartment?
No, I texted her because I saw her outside originally when all the police were out there and everything. And they were out next to the car. So I just texted her to ask if everything was okay, if something happened. And she was like, no, like everything's fine. There's just this kind of weird, basically crackhead looking guy outside. And then she was like, I went inside, and then I was like, and she was like, he hasn't left. And I was like, okay, well, if you want me to go do something or go get the police back on the phone or call someone, we can. And she was like, it should be okay. And then he ended up leaving later.
So he's drunk maybe. He crashes his bicycle into a car. The police come. They make contact with him. And then they leave, and they leave him there.
Mm-hmm.
And he continues to loiter in the area.
Yeah.
You have a phone call or a snap with her.
Yeah.
And then he finally leaves. And this happened about a month before.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think still lives there?
I believe she does. I don't know if she'll be living there next semester, but she isn't at a house. It would have been, I think it's one of these like apartments around here. I'm not really sure necessarily what this house is. I've been in there a couple of times, and there's like multiple stories, but each seems like a different apartment.
Okay, so for the record, he's pointing out on the map.
I wish they wouldn't redact that. So this is Conrad Harrison.
Okay.
And also on top, or talking about that, I don't think there was necessarily any like malicious intent in what he was doing. No, obviously I don't know the guy and I didn't talk to him, but from what I can tell with the police talking to him and just with him kind of being like not really making much sense, I assume he was just intoxicated or something and then was out just dinking around, didn't really know what he was doing.
Sure.
But But as far as girls over at Xana's, I never really heard anything about them feeling uncomfortable or people were stalking them or being weird or anything. It was usually a pretty safe and fun environment. Everyone who was there pretty much knew everyone else who usually came over, or at least just saw them around it enough to know who they were, and there was never usually any issues.
Okay, tell me about how would you describe Ethan's personality?
He was just kind of like I said before, he was just a very happy, kind of go-lucky guy. When he set his mind to something, he would do it. Didn't really matter what it would be, but he would just kind of hang out, and he was always just kind of a light to whatever kind of room he walked in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just a very, what's the word? Very genial and just very good with people, kind of wherever he went.
Any unusual personal habits of his?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Did he smoke a pipe, or did it belong to some club that you guys didn't belong to?
Oh, gotcha.
So here's the thing. So he has his Greek family, right? And then he has maybe people he goes to class with. And then he has his actual family back home. And then maybe if he had a summer job, he's got a few people over there he's connected to. So we're basically, the purpose of this is to look for connections to other groups of people, however small that group is, maybe only one person, but a connection he has outside of what we know. So, did he have anything unusual? Did he play any sports? Was he involved in a crash? Did he take flying lessons? I mean, just random stuff that you'd be like, yeah, that's weird. He did that, but the rest of us didn't.
I mean, he wasn't too eccentric of a person. He played a lot of sports.
Dude, they totally have a suspect. They absolutely have a suspect. That question is asked because they have a suspect and they're trying to figure out what the connection to Ethan is. That's very interesting to me. because when he asks that question, it's almost like he's alluding to the fact of he's trying to find out, is there a connection to who we may suspect that the suspect and Ethan may have bumped into one another or know each other through? Whether Ethan was the target or not targeted, they're trying to figure that out right now, I believe, with that line of questioning.
Sports. I think he played basketball and soccer.
Intramural.
Well, up here he played a lot of sports intramural, but for a while back home he used to play soccer. I think him and both played for about like 9 or 11 years or something like that. So, and then he was really good at basketball. He had played that for a while.
So was that like club soccer?
I believe so, but I'm not sure. I just knew that they did. And then, yeah, it was mainly just kind of the top three, I think. Soccer, football, basketball. He played a lot of video games. I think he used my Xbox more than I used my Xbox when I lived with him.
Did he ever play games with other people that weren't affiliated with the house? Like somebody, like an old friend back?
Dude, that is so crazy. That is so crazy that he just asked that about, what was the name of that video game? Come on, help me out, Hive. What was the name of that video game? It circulated around as a rumor that that was somehow a connection with Kohberger, allegedly. Shoot, it's on the tip of my tongue. League of Legends? No. No. Oh yeah, here. I did a TikTok on this back in the day. Yeah, I did a TikTok on this way back before I was on YouTube. And it was why League of Legends is a big deal. Multiple whispers online were claiming that Kohberger, Xana, Ethan, and Kopaka, not Kohberger. So multiple whispers online claim that Kohberger, Xana, Ethan, and Kopaka. This was from, I wish I could find the date when I did this. This was over a year and some change ago. So Kohberger, Ethan, Xana, and Kopaka were involved in an online gaming chat together. That game has been a part of government-backed programs too, which is wild. It's been a part of Project Archer, Project Maven, and it's part of IARPA behavioral analytics. League of Legends has been used in academic studies. That's not even speculation. It's been directly used in research on cognitive performance, stress response, team dynamics, and behavioral psychology. In fact, Riot Games did partner with university-level research teams in the past, exactly what WSU and Kohberger were getting funding for. Several criminology, psychology, and neuroscience departments have analyzed League of Legends data to track aggression, decision-making, and team coordination. They would monitor online multiplayer game behavior, track emotional regulation, stress, and cooperation under pressure, even simulate radicalization patterns. I'm trying to see if did I put anything else on here, or was it just that? I can't remember. No, so that's wild. I totally forgot that I ever looked into that. I got to go back on my TikTok and find it. But then a lot of my original TikToks that I did that would be kind of out there like this, same thing with the ritual one, a lot of those would get flagged or reported. So I don't even know if that's up. I forgot I even did this. So that's wild that he was talking about the gaming thing.
Yeah, it was mainly just kind of the top three, I think. Soccer, football, basketball. He played a lot of video games. I think he used my Xbox more than I used my Xbox when I lived with him.
Did he ever play games with other people that weren't affiliated with the house? Like somebody, like an old friend back home, or?
Usually it was with guys in the house. I think there was a couple times where I'd hop on with them or see him playing with like someone on a gamer tag I didn't know, but I don't know their name. I never asked. I just assumed it was someone he'd either been like squatted up with in the game, like the game putting him into that lobby, or he just a stranger, just some random person, but I didn't really know or care to know, if that makes sense.
Any changes in his personality recently? Any changes in his habits, emotional outbursts?
Not really. I mean, up until everything happened, he seemed like the same person to me.
Okay. We talked about potentially risky behavior, excessive alcohol use, drug use, that sort of thing. What about money? Did he ever have problems with money that you saw? Did he ever need money when he didn't have it?
Not really. His
It's a long redaction. Jeez.
But Ethan was never really short on money. If he needed something, he would just text and basically be like, hey, can you put so-and-so amount in my account? And he'd go to the grocery store, or tonight's going to be a big weekend. We're having a big party. Can you put some in for money or something like that? But he always had a lot of money if he needed it. So money was never really an issue for him.
Did that cause issues with other people in the house?
Not really. I don't think really many people knew about that. I know about it because I live with him.
Okay.
And so I would hear him on the phone with him, see him do it, etc. But, I mean, the people in the house knew that his, but I don't know if they really knew to the extent that
so money just wasn't an issue.
It wasn't really an issue for him, but he never flaunted it, if that makes sense. It was never like he, had the newest car or something or anything like that, or he was always, trying to show off. I mean, he would offer to, one time he had all his groceries bought and had like $200 left on his grocery card or something, and it needed to be used by the end of that month or it'd go away. So he just offered to buy me $200 worth of groceries because he didn't need anything else. So.
Right. As far as his daily schedule, did he take most of his classes in person? Did he take any classes online, or?
I think most of them were in person. I think he might have had a few online, but he never really went to them. At least when I lived with him.
He didn't go to his classes?
Sometimes he would, but it was kind of rare. He skipped them pretty often. A lot of them weren't mandatory attendance anyway, because they were, massive lecture halls, freshman classes that like English 101 and stuff like that, where a lot of it's just like an online workbook. And I think he had some classes that were just like that, like just basically an online workbook. So he never really had to go to class. But it was rare that I saw him, or not rare, but I'd see him probably go to like 2, 3, 4 classes a week, not too many. And I don't necessarily know his whole schedule if he was skipping. I know he skipped some, but I don't know to the extent. But he was home a lot of the time when I lived with him. And a lot of the time he'd kind of just blow off schoolwork and classes. He wasn't, at least when I lived with him, he wasn't the best student. That changed after he got, of course, deficient and had to move out of the house. Then he got it back on track, but when I lived with him, yeah.
Who would you say that his top 3 best friends are?
Would you count Xana as one of those, being a girlfriend, or would you ask for someone else?
No, just guys.
Okay. I'd say probably number 1. I can help you spell that if you need to. Let's see. Even though he was his brother, he was I would say is one of his best friends. And then I'm trying to think of other guys in the house. Probably Joe. He doesn't go here anymore. So now he's gonna actually come back next year, but he's had to spend this entire year working so he can pay for it. But yeah, Ethan and were very, very close, and still were, even with not here. Like they would text him all the time. Yeah.
So this is going to sound like a very formal question, and it is, but it's actually worded pretty well to cover what I'm asking, so I'm just going to read it. Inquire as to any instance where the victim ever discussed or displayed fear, concern, or discomfort about a particular person or situation.
Not really. I don't think he was ever scared, angry, disgusted about really anything. It was very rare that I saw Ethan in a negative, emotional sort of mindset. He was always just kind of happy, and if something bad happened, it was always kind of like, well, what can you do? You just move on and do better kind of thing. But yeah, I never noticed any distress or issues like that.
Was there anyone with whom Ethan did not get along, or he tried to avoid because they just didn't get along with each other?
I think
one of the things that is so obvious in this right now, and I know that I'm most likely preaching to the choir if you have massive doubts and suspicion that Brian Koberger is the guilty party of the Idaho 4. They are absolutely, as far as this line of questioning, they're looking for somebody who is socially adjacent to Ethan and the victims, that knew their house well enough to move around without raising red flags. They understood the late night dynamics and maybe some late night chaos that was going down. And it certainly seems like Ethan, from at least what Conrad says, I'm not hearing right now in his answers that he believes Ethan would be the center of the motive in any way. He's well liked. He's socially fluid, low conflict, as you just heard. He doesn't have beef with anybody. And that to me is a major constraint for saying that Ethan would be the target, in my opinion. So if Ethan's not motive central, that in my head is making him and his death seem more like a consequence rather than the origin of the murder starting. That's just my opinion right now. After hearing this, I think this is probably one of the most kind of clear interviews that becomes rather pertinent.
I think maybe just some of the doubts. I don't know if I necessarily know names in specific, because if Ethan didn't like you, he just wouldn't really hang around. So I never really saw those people. And we would always, when we lived in, we would have people over in our apartment a lot. And so, yeah, all the people who showed up were friends with Ethan. So those are the people that I really saw around him. I never really saw anyone that he...
Besides Xana, did any...
Well, that's a good point, narrative combatant. Thank you for the call out. That is a good point. Because, yeah, people have said, there's the Fight Club. This is an unpopular opinion with the people that are all in on the frats. And don't get me wrong, I can go down many different lanes as far as theories in this case. I still believe that the Fight Club is more like what, even at my own high school, we would call it locker boxing. And it was just a thing. It was literally a fight club. It wasn't necessarily only fighting people that you had a problem with. It was just a thing. So I'm not sure how that is. Don't get me wrong. That could escalate. It could absolutely have escalated, and it could have turned absolutely over the top physical, and it could have turned very violent and angry outside of that. But when I hear Fight Club, I've always thought that it just seems to be, I don't think it's that unusual at that age. Does anybody else agree with that? Do people disagree? I'm curious, because that's been something that, while yes, it may have led to an escalation, I don't believe that the Fight Club is where this all would have, I guess, where he would have been killed. Because when I think of the Fight Club, I think of just like bros being bros. Yeah, this dude could be covering up for that. If that did happen to start the escalation, that's very reasonable. I think that's a reasonable thought process.
Girls take a romantic interest in him?
Not to the extent of Xana. He didn't date anyone other than Xana up here. I'm trying to think. I mean, there was a good chunk of girls that I would hear talk about how he was cute or something, or they'd come up to me and say, hey, your roommate's kind of cute or something, that kind of stuff. No one really ever went super far and acted on it.
Nobody with a pissed off boyfriend?
No. Anyone who was ever interested in him like that was always single, from my knowledge. But yeah, no one that I knew that was in a relationship or had something like that to where they were like either actually interested in or like seeming like they were being flirty or interested in him, even if they weren't. I never really saw that, especially because of Xana. She was very well respected, and both of them were. So,
do you know if he ever cheated on Xana?
No, I mean, I don't know, but but from what I do know and seeing them together all the time, no, and I don't believe that he ever would.
Okay.
Especially living with him and knowing who he is.
How did you ever see him like interact with other guys that were out of the house that he didn't know, that were strangers?
Interact with other guys out of the house that I didn't know or that he didn't know?
Well, like for instance, in Rush, how was he around meeting people for the first time? And was he socially awkward, or did he get along really easily with people?
Super easily. He was actually, him and Hunter, I think, were the most bid on ever at U of I.
Was that about Ethan? Is that what he just said, or was that redacted?
The most bid on.
Sorry, I want to hear that.
No, that he didn't know.
Well, like for instance, in Rush, how was he around meeting people for the first time? And was he socially awkward, or did he get along really easily with people?
Super easily. He was actually, him and Hunter, I think, were the most bid on ever.
So him and Hunter were the most bid on kids ever, meaning that they were some of the most sought out to have them be a part of their frat. For, when they were joining frats, everybody wanted Ethan and Hunter in their frats.
At U of I, or something like that, or in the last 10 years, it was crazy. They got more bids than, there were houses that they told no and still got bids from. Because, on the final day, it was you could only get 5, a maximum of 5. And I think I got something 7 or 8. So they were, I think, I had a friend who was in IFC, and I was just talking to him about how Rush went, and he was saying that Hunter and Ethan were top 5 kids through Rush. So, and that was out of 200.
Wow.
So very, very good with other people.
Was there anybody at Sigma Chi that started with your pledge class and then for some reason got kicked out?
No, there was a member who just left. His name's he had that just graduated also in Sigma Chi, but he just left because he just didn't like the scene up here. There was never anyone in our PC that got kicked out.
Anyone that might hold some resentment towards Sigma Chi, feel like they were slighted by Sigma Chi?
The only thing I could think of, which I don't think they would feel this way, but this is the closest to that we have, was there's a kid that got too touchy with a girl one night, and it was unconsensual, and we found out about it from the girl, and then we kicked him out the next day.
When did that happen?
When did that happen? I believe it wasn't this semester, it was this last semester, I believe.
Was he a Sigma Chi?
Yeah, he was. He was
kicked out as in you have to live somewhere else, or kicked out as in you're no longer Sigma Chi kicked out?
No longer Sigma Chi. And then I believe he moved back to Boise.
Was the girl an AP or a
she was a Pi Phi.
Was she connected with any of the Pi Phis at 1122?
Sorry, is 1122 the
house?
Okay. Yes, she was very close with Xana and Ethan both. And I believe Maddie as well, but I didn't see them together as much. But she was very close with Xana. Her name was, I think, Thomas. And
he went back to
from what I heard, yeah. I think that's how you spell his name.
Do you know where the assault occurred?
With
yes.
I believe it was in Sigma Chi, yeah.
At that time, when that happened, were you guys, was Ethan and Xana and you guys, were you going over to the area? Were you going over to the area and hanging out over here?
When the assault happened?
Yeah. I don't mean that night. I just mean in general.
Oh.
Had you started to go party at these off-campus houses at that point?
In like sorry, I don't understand the question.
The semester when this happened.
Okay. Yeah.
And when was this?
I'm not 100% sure on the day. I think it was early second semester.
Of this year?
Of last year.
Of last year.
Of last year. Not that it didn't happen this semester. Would know exactly when that happened, I believe. I'm sure. I assume you've talked to her.
We talk on the phone frequently.
Yeah.
So I had just put something in the chat. I said, does anybody find it weird that not that many people know who Kaylee is, and a handful of people agreed, a handful of people disagreed. The reason why I'm saying that is because as I'm listening to this interview, I'm trying to pick up on what I would call social cues of that house. And it doesn't really seem as if everybody was like equal socially. Ethan and Xana seem to be the most popular, but yes, that house was a very social spot. People were always coming and going, but that recurring traffic to me tells me that it could be somebody who's in the same social circle, but still not overlap with everybody in that house. Because in the past, I've thought, oh, this person must have known all of the victims equally. And listening to this, I know that this is in regards to Ethan, so there could be a little bit of thought bias on there, but it does tell me that the people who did this, they had some knowledge because of that social overlap, but it's not like they necessarily knew them as well as maybe who they were going in there to initially get. Which then also could point to with Dylan and Bethany. I can't even believe that I'm going to say this, but whatever. I'm throwing it out there. I'm thinking out loud because it could be maybe the objective was completed. Now it's time to get out. And while yes, they did hear stuff, Dylan and Bethany in their location could just be from lack of awareness in the house, and they really only focused on the rooms where they knew those other people would be. It's almost like pattern recognition. If you're going to do this and you're in the same social circle, but you don't know everybody equally, you have to go after people that are predictable, right? If you're going to plan something out, you need to be able to predict somebody's movements. And so right away, Conrad states, like, Ethan was always at Xana's. So that's something you could predict if you were going to plan this for a certain night. Because if you didn't know that, it seems as if the movement beforehand and the timeline would look maybe a little bit more chaotic. Because although we may not trust the 1112 camera, I certainly don't. You can put together, whether it's 2 a.m. or 4 a.m., right? There does seem to be a clean start time, whether you believe it's the screams or whether you do, even if you believe the mainstream narrative, there's a clean start time to the timeline, which means that there was some sort of pattern that was picked up on by whoever did this. Somebody knew their movements and expected them to be there by that time. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, it's almost like exactly what WSU is getting the funding for. The predictive predictive criminal behavior. White Rabbit said, thank you for the super chat, said, even Hunter Johnson tries the same approach with not knowing Kaylee. Yeah, that's true. And that's kind of almost why I said that. It seems like everybody that gets asked kind of brushes it off. Let's see what some other people are saying. Just check in with the chat here. Almost every interview, I agree, Avi, Las Vegas, Nevada. I never say it right, but I say them both ways. Or I say it both ways each time. Almost every interview, KG is pretty unknown. Yeah, it was like a social hierarchy in that house. That's a great way to sum it up. That's what I'm kind of picking up from the way that this guy's talking about it.
What about this?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, so early second semester of last year, were Sigma Chi's regularly coming to off-campus parties over here?
Yeah, that would have been back when she lived at this house. She called it.
My bad, Audie.
Okay.
Yeah, we would. It was pretty often. Ethan was usually over there because I believe at that point Xan and him weren't officially dating, but they had just
was going over there too to parties.
No, never really came over there. At least that I knew of. He was, and he kind of just stuck more with that kind of crowd of his. Didn't like when there was a party going on at Sigma Chi, he would come over because there was a party going on at Sigma Chi, but he wouldn't go out of his way to go to like other parties if like the cities were going off campus to some other house. He wouldn't join us there. He wasn't a great member anyway. He kind of only showed up when we were doing an event or something.
How would you characterize his personality? Is he confrontational, violent, angry?
I mean,
friendly?
Not friendly. Well, I mean, he's kind of friendly, but he's the kind of guy who is just a drunken idiot. Like, he gets drunk, you can't talk to him, doesn't matter what you tell him, he might get aggressive with you. He doesn't really, at least from what I can tell, never really meant any ill will by it, but was just kind of like a get the hell away from me who do you think you are? Like, kind of arrogant.
Do you think he resents Sigma Chi for kicking him out? To the point where he might want to do something to hurt Sigma Chi?
I don't think so. So he didn't remember the incident. He was blacked out. Still doesn't remember it happening. It would have been, I believe we talked to him about it. And said that someone talked to him about it and said that he felt extremely terrible, had no idea that he was even capable of something like that, was really, really going through a lot of hard stuff, and issues, and felt, terrible about that. So, I mean, despite him being somewhat arrogant and kind of rude and abrasive when you kind of meet him, he was someone that understood, like, his own pitfalls, I guess, and, had empathy and felt sorry for them. I personally don't think that he would try and get back at us because he already felt so terrible about what he did.
Did he object to being removed from membership?
No. So I don't know if he was able to object from being removed from membership. But he said, I think what he said, because he had written something and they read it for us before a chapter, and it was something along the lines of, I understand these, like, my actions are terrible, and whatever the house decides as my punishment is, I'll be accepting of.
Did he attend chapter after the incident?
No.
Was he not invited to attend chapter after the incident?
He was. He chose not to. Because he felt very bad and embarrassed, obviously, about it.
So if he wanted to, he could go address the house, and he chose not to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he left it with just the letter as his addressing of the house because he really had nothing to say.
Okay. If I already asked you this, sorry. Is there anyone with whom Ethan did not get along with or experience conflict? And your answer to that is you don't know. Sorry if I'm paraphrasing. You don't know, but if there was, he wouldn't have been around him anyway.
Yeah, basically, he didn't spend time around people he didn't like.
Okay. Chasing strangers. Did he have a job of any kind or any source of making money while he was at school?
No, it was just his parents.
Past employment, are you aware if he had a job in the past summer?
Yeah, he used to work over, I think this most recent summer, he worked in.
These redactions are insane.
I'm not 100% sure. I know that he. And then prior to that, he had worked at a flower shop in Mount Vernon.
The tulip fields?
I believe so, yeah.
Did he spend any time away from campus or associate with any other individuals from other universities besides U of I?
Not spending time away from campus. What do you mean by that?
I don't know. Did he have something that took him away from campus where he'd have a Bible study on Wednesdays or something like that?
No.
Maybe a book club he went to?
He wasn't really involved in anything that wasn't kind of through our house, university, etc. Like, the only thing that I could think of would be intramurals, but that was obviously through us. He wasn't in any clubs or anything like that.
Okay. So Did he attend any of his classes at WSU?
No.
Do you guys still do that?
I don't think so.
So when I was here, one of my majors was criminal justice, and U of I had a really terrible criminal justice program at the time.
Oh, and so
WSU had a pretty good one. So I could sign up for a U of I class, and I wouldn't know that it was a WSU class until I looked at the location, and I realized, that's
Wazoo campus.
That's at Wazoo.
Okay.
And then they did the same thing. They'd send people over here for like our ag research programs and stuff.
Yeah, no, he never did that. He never took anything through Washington State.
Tell me about his cell phone use. Was he the kind of person who was always on his phone?
He was on his phone a lot.
What apps did he use the most?
I think mainly just social media apps, like TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram. But yeah, I mean, he'd just kind of go on it to be lazy and waste time, and we just do that pretty often.
Did he have a lot of followers?
I'm not sure.
Did you engage in that also? Were you like Snapchat and Instagram friends and all that?
Yeah. Friends on Snapchat and Instagram. Snapchat's how I would text him. It's rare that I would use just my phone app to text people. I don't have as many phone numbers. I usually just get Snapchats. And so, yeah, that's how we would communicate.
Hive, we got over 1,000 people in here, or about 1,000. If we can get 800 likes, I will gift 5 memberships out. I just figured out how to do that. So let's get to 800 likes for this late night stream right now, and I will gift out 5 memberships, or that's the Hive Plus. So anybody in Hive Plus, drop the emojis so people can see it. All the streams are free. I do like a hybrid thing. So it's really just you have access to emojis, and then once a month, the chat is just going to be for Hive Plus, but the streams are always free. So you can watch every stream. So it's not like your traditional membership at all. I've said I won't ever put anything behind a paywall, and I mean it. But yeah, that last question about WSU was weird. And so it is interesting that it seems like U of I students could take classes maybe at WSU.
I would be on Snapchat, and then we didn't really communicate on Instagram at all, though. I just followed him and, would see what he posts. And then I don't have TikTok, but
that's good because it's a big time waster.
Oh yeah, I know. That's the reason I refuse to get it, because I know if I do, I'll just sit on it for 3 hours straight.
Where did he eat?
Like just normally, dinner, just at the apartment.
You go get groceries, bring them back, and you guys just have your own little division areas, and he make his own food there.
Because we don't have a chef. I'm sure you knew that. But yeah, he would just get stuff and eat at the house. He usually just ate a lot of mini corn dogs and Diet Coke. He didn't have the best diet, but.
Okay. The way he spent his time, as far as you know, in the last few months, where he's coming over to the house, I understand he goes down to apartment 10, plays games with Kyle a lot, goes over, stays at Xana's a lot, goes to class, I suppose, sometimes.
Yeah.
Any changes in that behavior from him on his daily routine that you've noticed?
No, I mean, I think he actually had gotten better about going to class this most recent semester.
Right.
So that would be the only change from what it was before of him not going to class, but he would still come over, text me, say, hey, can you give me a ride to so-and-so class that's on the other side of campus, because he didn't want to walk, and so I'd give him a ride and then pick him back up.
Why didn't he use his own cars?
I think a lot of the time, I'm not 100% sure, but I think a lot of the time it was like someone had blocked him in, because he used to park at Xana's, and there was like 4 or 5 different cars there. And every once in a while when I would drive by, I'd see his Jeep blocked in. So
makes sense.
I just assumed that was the reason. I didn't really ask, but there was also like no parking at the area where he was going, so he wouldn't really be able to leave his car anywhere if he did, because it was a class where I forget what class it was, but they would like meet at areas like the industrial building around campus, and then they would like walk to like an agricultural field or like someplace like Wazoo or something, or bus there or something. So he wouldn't be able to really like leave his car anywhere because he didn't have a parking pass. So I assume that's why he had me give him rides. But yeah, I mean, after that, he would come back and do the same thing. He'd get on, start gaming for a bit, then, you know, make some food, get up, start drinking, go hang out with Xana, come back here, hang out with the guys.
Okay. What things, where were you when you heard this had happened?
I was at the Whites.
Whose apartment was that?
It's
Hive. So just to make sure I'm understanding this right, when he says, where were you when this happened? And he said, I was at the Whites. Is he referring to the crime, or did I miss something that he would be asking them or asking in regards to? That's not the crime. Is it the crime? He said, where were you at when this happened? And he says the Whites. I don't want to go back too far. I'll go back like 20 seconds, but
what things, where were you when you heard this had happened?
Oh, okay.
I was at the Whites.
Whose apartment was that?
It was when he heard this happened. Okay, gotcha.
Who's a Sigma Chi, who's a Sigma Chi, and Grandma Matt, who's a Pi Phi.
Who are the two Sigma Chi's?
And they're both seniors, and I've known them for Chris. And then I met up here.
Okay. And who told you? Who is?
He's also a Sigma Chi.
Is it older brother? Or, no, this is David Berriage. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Niall Gorage. He's a Sigma Chi.
How did he find out about it?
I can't remember exactly how he found out. I think it was an extension of being friends with him.
You can get along with David?
Yeah, he did.
So, when you found out about it, what did you think? What was your reaction?
Well, at first I didn't believe it because, well, to give a little background, I had originally heard, we were just watching football because it was football Sunday. We were just over there watching football. And I had seen the message that said they're investigating a homicide on King Street. And I assumed one person at first. And then I saw that it was, or heard that it was more people. And then I started texting people to see if they're okay. I texted Ethan and Xana. And then, because I knew that they were, obviously Xana lived there, Ethan was there a lot, and I was there a lot too. And then I found out that it was 4 people. And originally I'd assumed it was some sort of like freak accident, like Adele got drunk, belligerent, and, you know, got in an altercation, someone smashed a bottle on their head, and, you know, somehow they just died or something like that, right, is what I thought. Right.
Dude, this is such a great comment. I think you're spot on this comment, Rolo. He's got the wherewithal to know that they probably have his phone data there at the Whites. So that's why his entire demeanor, I don't know about you all, I feel a demeanor shift that's happened in the last minute of this interview. It feels like now he's talking about some real shit here. That is a great take.
And then came in and he was like, "Did you hear what happened?" And I was like, yeah, 4 people, like, this is crazy. And he goes, no, Ethan and Santa. And then I just kind of didn't really know what to say. I just kind of sat there for a while. And then it kind of really hit me when I had to call my mom and tell her. And then when I had to call and tell them as well. Is another Sigma Chi who's in my PC, and was the one I mentioned earlier, who was really good friends with Ethan. And neither of them live up here right now, so that's why I called them.
So after you understood the full facts that these 4 in that location had been murdered with a knife, what did you think? Who did you think did it? What do you think the motive was, the circumstances were?
Has anybody ever looked up? So what NFL games would have been on November 13th, 2022 and put them in local Moscow, Idaho time? I don't know if so. We got, let me zoom in here. So, and what time did that, the exact time, what time? Hang on, let me work through this. Some people might know this. So if the Vandal alert went out, the first alert approximately went out at 1:04 p.m. local time. So would there have, so what games? So well, it says so obviously if they were watching football, I mean, it's not unrealistic to think. So the late stages of the 10 a.m. games, so it would have been the Vikings, Bills. What else was that 10 a.m.? It doesn't, I guess it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, Seattle was playing. They were over in Germany. They were playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over in Germany. That was at 6:30. Then there was, 10 a.m. So I guess, yeah, football's on all day, technically from 6:30 to when this was sent out because of the time zone they're in. So, okay. I was just curious.
I really don't have any idea. There's not a single person who I could peg as wanting to hurt Ethan or Xana. Obviously, I didn't know the other two very well. And yeah, I heard that it was a targeted attack. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you.
So what does that tell you? Outside of maybe different agencies, maybe different departments, right? But what does that tell you with what Thierry Dawn just said? It's amazing the difference in questions between these two recent guys being interviewed and the surviving roommates. What does that actually say? And I'm curious because I want to see what you guys think about that. I have my thoughts on it, but I want to put some comments up on the screen as this continues to play.
Questions about thing, but I wouldn't have assumed it was targeted towards Ethan. My assumption is that he was just collateral being there, and especially being as big of a man as he is, he's a threat, whether he has a weapon or not. So that's kind of what I assumed with that he wasn't, intended to be killed, but obviously I don't know the case. And I'm only working off of just the information I've heard.
So that's so wild. you know, this he slows down his speech every time he's being very careful, obviously, with what he's saying. And he's saying that he doesn't suspect, right, that Ethan would have been the target. But then he's like, obviously, I don't know the case. I'm only going off of the information that I've been given. But I don't know. To me, that's just worded weird.
Wasn't intended to be killed, but obviously I don't know the case. And I'm only working off of just the information I've heard. But yeah, it still doesn't make sense to me.
So of the circles of friends that Ethan was, so big circle up here, the Greek system, the university at large, versus some random stranger. Do you think that it's somebody in the Greek system? Do you think it's somebody outside the Greek system?
I think it would have to be someone inside the Greek system.
Why?
This is also going on a bit of conjecture because I don't know.
That's what I'm asking.
But,
I'm asking you to speculate right now. So speculate away.
Just thinking in my own mind, their front door had a code and would lock if it was closed. So someone would have either had to be there enough to know the code. Granted, there was also the back sliding glass door, which isn't probably much of an issue to break into, but I don't know where they did break into, or if they did break in at all. So they would either have had to know the code, which was not something they shared often. I didn't even know the code, and I was there a lot. So they would either have to know the code, or if they didn't know the code and didn't break in, then they would have to be someone that was there often enough for it to not seem weird, because they would have big parties there where I would see people that I didn't know. But if there was just some random stranger there that no one knew, like, it would raise some red flags. Someone would be like, hey, who's this guy over here or something, or who's this person? And someone would probably go talk to them and be like, hey, what are you doing here? No one knows you here, something like that. So if they were there and had been there while people were there, I assume it had to be someone that they knew. Obviously, I don't know. And then obviously there's a
hang on. What is that? What did he say there?
There while people were there and something like that. So if they were there and had been there while people were there, I assume it had to be someone that they knew. Obviously, I don't know.
Oops, shit. Sorry. How many times did he just say it would have to be, in his opinion, somebody they knew? I mean, he just explained it 7 different ways.
Here or something, or who's going on a bit of conjecture because I don't know.
That's what I'm asking. I'm asking you to speculate right now. So
I went back like 2 minutes. I want to listen to this again. This is crazy. Wow. Thank you, Dawn. Shout out to Discord Dawn for sending me this yesterday. She's like, you have to watch this right now. So thank you. This is crazy.
Well, just thinking in my own mind, their front door had a code and would lock if it was closed. So someone would have either had to be there enough to know the code. Granted, there was also the back sliding glass door, which isn't probably much of an issue to break into, but I don't know where they did break into, or if they did break in at all. So they would either have had to know the code, which was not something they shared often. I didn't even know the code, and I was there a lot. So they would either have to know the code, or if they didn't know the code and didn't break in, then they would have to be someone that was there often enough for it to not seem weird, because they would have big parties there where I would see people that I didn't know. But if there was just some random stranger there that no one knew, like, it would raise some red flags. Someone would be like, hey, who's this guy over here or something, or who's this person? And someone would probably go talk to them and be like, hey, what are you doing here? No one knows you here, something like that. So if they were there and had been there while people were there. I assume it had to be someone that they knew. Obviously, I don't know. And then obviously there's a chance that they, broke in through the back door or were hiding. So in that case, that doesn't really help. But
do you know if it?
Dude, he's going through. I mean, obviously, kids on campus are going to speculate, and they're gonna go through, what they believe could have happened, and they're going to theorize on their own. But it is interesting that he just said they could have broke in or they could have hid. That is the first time in any interview, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've listened to a lot of them. Most people in here have listened to a lot of them. I have never heard anybody say yet they could have hid. Wow.
It was common to make sure that the slider was shut and locked before they went to bed, or was security really a concern for them over there?
I feel like it was probably not that common of a thing, just knowing them, I think. I mean, oftentimes when they came back, when they came back to the house, they were drunk, because it was usually after a party or something or whatever. Excuse me. Or
this isn't something you worry about in Moscow, Idaho.
Exactly. Yeah. And
I don't think we ever locked our doors to our apartments. I think we went home for a break and didn't lock the doors. We're always open.
No, since I mean, I leave my car unlocked up here with the keys in the ignition, or at least I used to. And I never had an issue, so I don't think it was ever something they really thought of. And, I mean, both Ethan and Xana were very happy people, but a little kind of, what's the word? Thick in the head at times, but.
Okay, the night before, were you at the Sigma Chi party?
I was.
And what do you remember about the party?
I actually wasn't in the legitimate lodge for the party for that long. I was in P room for a while, and that's actually where Ethan was originally.
Which room?
It would have been room, I think.
The upper left.
Yeah.
Double.
Mm-hmm.
I lived there too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Hold on. Did you guys just hear that whisper? I just spit everywhere. Did you just hear that whisper?
Was originally.
Which room?
It would have been room, I think.
The upper left.
Yeah.
Double.
Mm-hmm.
I lived there too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Room for a while, and that's actually where Ethan was originally.
Which room?
It would have been room, I think.
The upper left.
Yeah.
Double.
Mm-hmm.
I lived there too.
Oh, you did?
Dude, that's the creepiest shit I've ever heard. I mean, just it sounds so weird if he's talking about that he lived in that same house. Wow. Here, I'll play it one more time. That's wild.
It would have been room, I think.
The upper left.
Yeah.
Double.
Mm-hmm.
I lived there too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was in there for a bit, and it was just me, some of the G5s, and then Ethan and Xana came in. I remember Xana coming over to me. She gave me a hug, seemed super happy.
About what time?
I think this was around 9 or 9:30. And then I saw Ethan. I remember saying hi, talking to him. I had pink lemonade brunettes, which was Ethan's go-to for a drink. So I remember offering him.
What is it?
Pink lemonade brunettes.
What is that?
It's just the flavor of brunettes vodka. Yeah. And it was his favorite because it was like $15.
Where did he get that
at? He would just get it from other people.
Just somebody that was 21 in the house that could go buy liquor?
Yeah, someone or another friend in another house. It didn't really matter. You just he'd just text someone and say, "Hey, you going on an elk run?" And they'd say, "Yeah, what do you want?"
Okay.
And he'd get it.
Okay. And what was the drink?
Pink lemonade brunettes. Pink lemonade flavored brunettes.
What does that matter?
Was Xana 21?
No. I don't think so, no. I believe Xana was 20.
So if he was drinking a pink lemonade brunettes there, does that mean that he brought it there? Or could that have been somebody else's?
If he was drinking pink lemonade at Sigma Chi.
Yeah, you said that night that he was drinking a pink lemonade brunettes.
Oh, that was mine.
That was yours?
Yes.
You brought that alcohol?
Yes.
Okay.
For myself. That was my own alcohol for the night that I had.
Oh, okay.
And
did Ethan, is that also what Ethan drank?
Yeah, it is what Ethan, the same kind of alcohol that Ethan drank. And I think he had a sip of mine that night.
Absolutely, White Rabbit. Like I said, you're on fire tonight. That totally, I agree. This has got to be something about a toxicology screening, and I believe that that's why it matters. Why they're asking. Thank you for clarifying that, because I'm like, why does that matter? I think you're spot on. It probably does have something to do with the toxicology.
But that was just his go-to drink, and that's why I offered it to him, because I hadn't seen him that day before, and so I was like, "Hey, do you want a shot?"
Sure.
Kind of thing.
Okay, got it. I was just trying to figure out if he'd gone to the liquor store that
Oh, no, he hadn't. And then from there, I remember talking to him. He said, "Hey, you got to try this new flavor, strawberry banana." And I was like, "That sounds terrible." And then I remember making fun of his jersey, because he was wearing a Steelers jersey because it was Xana's, and he's a Seahawks fan. And I was like, "Why are you wearing a Steelers jersey? You're a Hawks fan." And he was like, "I know it sucks, but it's whatever. I didn't have one." So
because it was a
jersey party.
A jersey party.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then after that, we kind of just stayed in there for a little bit, all hung out for a little while before the party, and then I think him and Xana. Oh, no. I left. I left the apartment after that and went back to my apartment, and then went into the party for a little bit. Apartment.
Okay.
And then after that, I was in the party for a little bit, came back to my apartment. I was kind of just going in and out the whole night.
There used to be a great Pink Floyd mural on the wall.
Really?
Downstairs. It was really intricate. Nobody wanted to paint over it because it was so cool, but it had been there for like 10 years. So I felt like I painted over it.
Yeah, it's not there anymore, sadly. I wish it was, though. But then, yeah, some girls came into my apartment as the party started kind of dying down, because I think we ended the party at 1 o'clock. Because we normally end them at 2, but for I think there was a Idaho bound or something. Your campus was dry for some reason. And so I actually don't even really know how the university let us throw the event, because usually even wet houses can't throw wet events during dry campus, but for some reason they let us throw it. And then I think we shut it down at 1, and then from there we hung out in my apartment, just me and some other girls, and then we hung out there till about 2, I believe, and then we went over to their apartment at the Whites.
Whose apartment at the Whites?
The one I was mentioning earlier.
They were hanging out with you in,
mm-hmm.
And then
the
night before,
and the night of the party, yeah.
Okay,
then,
so after the party, you hung out until when?
Until about 2 a.m., I believe. And then we all went over to their apartment, which was me, and then I think it was. I apologize if I don't have the best memory of this. I had drank a lot that night. But then it was, I believe, as well. And then I can't remember if and were also there that night or not, or if I'm thinking about just another night, because we went over there pretty often. But we hung out there for probably 2.5 more hours. I think I went home around 4:30 in the morning, and I walked back with, I believe, and then
How were they that night? How was there any problems at this White's apartment?
no, we were all just.
Did anybody leave? After you walked over there at about 2 with these guys, did any of them leave and come back?
No.
Oh man, I feel like this officer, and again, this is my first time hearing this, but I feel like this officer is well, he already knows the answer to this question, in my opinion. I don't believe that you don't ask this question, and I mean, they were at the Whites until 4:30, so you got to really, really think about that. The screams, and yes, you may be inside, but I mean, there's so much stuff going on, especially when this officer now says, wait, so you were there, they shut down around 2-ish, you hung out for another 2.5 hours till about 4:30, and then bam, did anybody leave and come back? Wow. I'm going to go back a minute or two, okay?
Probably. And they were also there that night, or not, or if I'm thinking about just another night, because we went over there pretty often.
Sorry, last time I'll pause it and then I'm going to let it play. Hopefully. I have the squirrel brain right now with this because I have so many thoughts going through my head. Think of how many people that were in that same social circle are literally, you could throw a rock and hit the Whites. So much activity going on. And there are so many people there that would know that house, that would pretty much, every time I say pretty much too on the stream now, I'm like, don't say that. But they would know the routine. They would know when everybody's home. They would know that college nightlife time. Like, are they home? Where are they? Are they here? Are they there? Did they leave the Quarter Club? That's crazy.
But we hung out there for probably.
And I do believe this too. I believe the cop could be thinking the 4 to 4:20 timeline with this, or in general, maybe, but 2 to 4:30. I believe now with that cop asking that question, not necessarily the 4 to 4:20, but the 2 to 4:30, as we know, that's a wide range. It's 2.5 hours. It's 2.5 hours. There's a lot that can happen that can go a bunch of different directions.
Not, or if I'm thinking about, I apologize if I don't have the best memory of this. I had drank a lot that night. But then it was, I believe, as well. And then I can't remember if and were also there that night or not, or if I'm thinking about just another night because we went over there pretty often. But we hung out there for probably 2.5 more hours. I think I went home around 4:30 in the morning, and I walked back with, I believe, and then
how were they that night? How was there any problems at this White's apartment?
No, we were all just.
Did anybody leave? After you walked over there at about 2 with these guys, did any of them leave and come back?
No, none of the guys did. Some of the girls left, and I think that was around 3:30, I believe.
But none of the guys left.
Not that if J- and were there, they left earlier than me, but they just went back to the house. But yeah, no one left and came back.
So we're trying to ID this car. You've probably seen the photos of the car.
The white one, yeah.
Did any of these people drive a car like that?
No. Not that I know of. I know
That's totally a question. I would guess that they just showed the white car. If I had to guess, he's holding up a picture, most likely already from the 1112 camera or what they had put out for the Elantra. But I would guess that they're showing him that car because these cops, they are way more zeroed in on the angle of it being students than I think I've ever heard play out in an interview ever before. This is so obvious that they are looking for somebody who is, and this is a month after the crimes, everybody. This interview is December 14th. They have done their due diligence. Like Rolo had said, I agree. They probably had his phone movements at this point, or everybody. They had the towers.
no one left and came back.
So we're trying to ID this car. You've probably seen the photos of the car.
The white one, yeah.
Do any of these people
Oh, yeah. So he does say the white one. Okay.
drive a car like that?
No, not that I know of. I don't think has a car up here. I don't think does either. And I drives like a white Ford Escape. And then I don't know what the girls drove.
And you don't know anybody around here that drives a car like this?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you hung out until maybe 4:30, and then you walked back to your apartment?
Yeah. And then I just went to bed. And then that's when I woke up the next morning and then went over to watch football. So I went back to the house the next day. Or not the house, White's apartment.
Did you notice another big group of people at the White's apartments? Maybe on the upper floor, like 50 or 60 people?
When?
Another party that same day you went over to watch football?
No.
I'm sorry, the day before.
Oh.
On Saturday.
And this was at night? Like when I went over during the day?
Yeah.
I wasn't out too much during the day. I think I was in my room doing homework, so I wasn't looking over at the Whites or hanging out over there, so I don't know if that was happening.
Okay.
It's not something that is uncommon, though.
I'm going to show you a photograph of a knife. Does that look familiar to you? Have you ever seen anybody with that knife?
Whoa, what? Hold on. Hold on. Excuse me?
I was in my room doing homework, so I wasn't looking over at the Whites or hanging out over there, so I don't know if that was happening.
Okay.
It's not something that is uncommon, though.
I'm going to show you a photograph of a knife. Does that look familiar to you? Have you ever seen anybody with that knife?
No, I have not.
It's got unique leather strips around the handles.
Mm-hmm.
No, those are rainbow.
Not that I know of.
Wait. Is he?
It's got unique leather strips around the handles.
Mm-hmm.
No, those are rainbow.
What does he say with the rainbow thing?
Strips around the handles.
Mm-hmm.
No, those are rainbow.
Not that I know of.
Is there anything else we haven't talked about that you think that we should talk about?
I mean, not really. I can't really think of anything.
When you were walking home, when you were with the Whites, you were walking home. Had you noticed anything or seen anything suspicious? Any cars driving around, or
no
people walking around, or anything?
Everything just seemed normal. Yeah, I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary.
Okay. If you think of anything else, give me a ring. I sure appreciate you coming down. I'm going to stop the interview now at 6:26.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. So what I'm going to do is I saw a lot of people talking about the Mason Mitsri interview. Again, guys, go show Connor ..h8 some love. Thank you so much, Connor, for the FOIAs. One's in the chat if you guys want to watch Mason Mitsri. It's only 20 minutes. We'll watch this. And then tomorrow I'll probably watch John, and I got to finish Kevin still. I don't know if I'll stream for those. Probably not. But I want to make sure I'm caught up on that. And then I have some wild stuff to talk about as far as this upcoming week for the stream. So make sure you hit subscribe, turn your notifications on, hit like. If you want to use the emojis in the chat, join Hive Plus. And let's go ahead and let's watch Mason Mitsri. Guys, please hit that like button. Remember, I'll put a cutoff time on this. So I said, if we get 800 likes, I'm going to put a cutoff for 12:30. So we have 8 minutes to get 800 likes. We got 560. If we do, I'll gift out 5 Hive Plus memberships for that. So I will do that if we can do it. I mean, it's taken a little bit longer than I would have thought, but let's get started on this, and that will go until 12:30. See if we can do it. No sound? Okay. All right. I got to thank you. Sometimes that does happen whenever I switch browsers. Give me a minute here. How's everybody's Saturday night going? I guess now it's Sunday morning where I'm at, but this was kind of fun to do a random late night stream. I'm glad that I decided to do this. So thank you to everybody who's tuning in. We are going to be watching a recently FOIA'd interview in regards to the Idaho 4 case for people that might be new. And this is Mason Mitsri, another Sigma Chi brother.
When you met him.
Let me do a sound check here.
Okay, this is Detective Sergeant Mike Van Liven with the Idaho State Police. It is 12/15/22, and I am here with who was a pledge class member with Ethan. So you could tell me the first time that you met Ethan.
Ooh, it's going to be hard to recall, but it would probably be the first day that we were brought to Sigma Chi from the day that we got our bids.
So for Rush is when you met him?
Rush, yeah. Essentially after Rush.
And how would you characterize him? I mean, what did you think of him when you met him?
Just a very goofy, big guy. I don't know. That's the best way I can describe him, I guess. Super nice. Very outgoing.
Was he abrasive at all, or negative with people at all? Or?
No, never.
Did you ever see him have any confrontations with anyone?
We got in trouble one time, but that was for some, he was just being a drunk idiot. But he took a picture with someone's mom. It was slightly inappropriate, and everyone got upset about it. But that was about it, really. That was it was meant to be completely harmless, but it just came off the wrong way.
So did you know his family members?
I knew before, but I would say I was slightly friends, more so by association with him. Yeah.
Did you ever go anywhere or do anything with Ethan?
Gym a couple times. Partying. That's about it.
Did you ever sit down and have any serious conversations with Ethan?
We did like as a pledge class, but never like specifically me and him. No.
Do you remember if he ever talked about his past or growing up or any of that?
Not really. I really didn't know much about his past. And I knew he'd send us pictures of him like boating and stuff when he was home. That might have been because I believe they have.
Did he have any peculiar personal habits?
He liked to watch Ice Age, like on repeat, I guess. That's like about the most peculiar thing about the guy.
Did he have any unique hobbies or talents?
I don't really know if he did. I wouldn't say none that stuck out, I guess.
Anything significant in his past? Have you been like in a serious car wreck, or did he ever have any medical thing he overcame? Or
if he did, he didn't talk about it.
Okay. Did you ever talk about like ex-girlfriends, like when he was in high school?
No. I honestly didn't take him for the girlfriend type till Xana. But or I guess the type to have a girlfriend. Remember that?
How would you characterize his relationships with other people?
I mean, he was just extremely kind, like the nicest person I'll ever meet. And he definitely always brightened my mood, that's for sure. Never a dull moment with the guy.
Have you ever gotten in trouble with the police?
I don't think so.
Personal habits? Did he sleep in? Did he get up early?
Slept in. For sure.
This interview seems very low energy. Very low energy. This is Mason Mitzri, another Sigma Chi brother. This was done December 15th, 2022.
Where did he spend most of his time?
Before Xana, it would just be around the house with the boys, and then after Xana, he would always be hanging out with her. I think he spent like every single night with her, pretty much.
Over here at 1122?
Yeah.
Have you been to his off-campus apartment?
All right, I'm making an audible Hive. Everybody can watch this on their own. I'm going to go to the Kevin one. I had started this one. This is what everybody's saying. I have not finished this one either. As you can see, it was only 2 minutes into it. I was trying to watch this during work the other day.
Okay, it's December 14th, 2022. This is Detective Sergeant Mike Van Leuven with the Idaho State Police. It is 4:32 p.m., and I'm here at the Moscow Police Department interviewing for victimology for Ethan. So, when did you first meet Ethan?
I rushed Ethan into the house. I was that year, the year that they were freshmen. That's really when I first got to know them, was probably on the second or third day of rush. Great kids from the start. I mean, just the same things, beaming personalities, all of it. So from there, that was pretty much the first time I met both of the brothers, and then I hadn't met until maybe second semester of that year or sometime. I really wasn't close with or spent a ton of time around her or anything.
Did you know any of the other girls over at 1122?
No.
Never met them? Never come to the parties?
No, I wasn't familiar with them really. I knew by name, but no, I couldn't put a face to the name necessarily before an event like this.
Okay. Yeah. Did you ever go to 1122?
Maybe once or twice. I really couldn't. Maybe in the first semester. I can't remember if I maybe stumbled my way over there at some point.
Okay. So did you ever know Ethan's parents?
No, not really. But other than that, not really on a personal scale or to hold a personal conversation with them.
So you just met the parents at Parents Weekend?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let me ask you about that Parents Weekend. Who's were at your Parents Weekend.
Okay.
Says that she remembers there being somebody there, some guy that didn't belong there, and he had to get escorted out. Do you remember that event, that instance?
Sorry. My Parents Weekend was pretty filled with finances, though, for that, so I was pretty much in the back room the whole time.
So tell me about relationships that Ethan had in the house.
Yeah.
Who's his best friend?
The people he spent the most time around, I would say, would probably and probably and I believe is his full name. And I think they were really good for each other because a lot of those kids were really in similar places at the time of like really trying to figure out, kind of not so much because he's older than the bunch, but those kids were younger, and it's kind of weird because came in same PC technically, so rushed with them, but he was a junior at the time, so mentally more mature and kind of had school and those things figured out. And I think that those dudes got so close because they were really trying to deal with the same things of school, relationships, things like that, things that young kids do deal with at that point.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why they got attracted to each other so closely, so quickly.
Okay. What kind of friend was Ethan?
Always there. I live alone in the bottom rooms, like on the lower 40 now.
Those were always two man.
Right, kind of a swank deal I got going now.
Kind of one man.
Right?
Super guy. That's
right.
Good straight.
That guy loves to bring that up. He loves to bring that up. He brought that up in the first interview we watched too, about how it used to be a 2-man bedroom and now it's a 1-man.
But I mean, a lot of my time I spent with Ethan after my sophomore year, his freshman years, like this year, a lot of the time I spent with him was online video games or things like that. But man, he was like always texting you, always seeing what you're doing, like really cared. I mean, I feel like you hear the same things, but it really was who he was. And
was he polite, nice, warm, or was he ever annoying or
like
confrontational?
He always knew, like, even if he like started pushing things to the line, he always had that like feeling of where that line was and like when he'd overstepped, and like was always big enough to be like, I'm sorry, like, but like I can't really think of times that he ever would push things like that. He never really pushed the envelope, was always more on the caring side than confrontational.
Do you remember him having a conflict with anybody, either in the house or out of the house? Do you remember him ever, getting a yelling match with somebody or?
No, anything more than like, dude, pick up your dishes or something like that.
No, it's something more serious.
No.
Was he ever involved in a fight?
No.
That damn pen drives me crazy.
So if you look at this list, you can see the people that have been marked, and I think the ones in stars have been described as good friends of his, and the P's are for people in his pledge class. If you look over that list, do you generally agree that those are the people that we should be talking to?
Yeah. Can see one that you guys are really missing. Yeah.
Brandon, that was exactly my thought too. If it's not the pen on the table needs a shim underneath one of those legs. Not to get too off topic, but nothing will send me more in my own head. It's hard for me to focus. If I go to a restaurant and I sit down and my stool will go side to side, or the table, I have to fold the napkin up and I have to level it. It's so hard for me to concentrate if I don't do something. If I don't do that. Does anybody else feel like that?
A name that's come up that maybe we should talk to. Did he have a relationship with him at all?
Not that I can really speak on a whole lot comfortably.
Did he have a relationship with any of the girls at 1122?
No, not that I am aware of at all.
Okay. What about?
I really can't speak on any of his relationships either. From what I know, neither of them went out that much, but I don't go out that much either. So,
where did Ethan spend his time?
I honestly never went to his apartment off campus. For the first entire time, I thought he was actually living at the Browns or the Yellows, which are right behind the Whites. Right? I thought that's where his original single person apartment was, but so I had never been to his other apartment. But he was always at the house, whether it was room, which is on the opposite side of me on the bottom of the lower 40, or hanging out with and those guys. But most of the times when I saw him was at the house and not out partying and things like that.
Did he spend a lot of time at 1122?
Yes. I mean, not that I can speak of I personally knew when he was there and when he wasn't, but I know that he spent a significant amount of time at Xana's house, yeah.
Did you know Xana before Ethan?
Not anything more than she's in our Clash of Clans clan, but I've talked to her a couple times here and there. We were freshmen together, but I probably didn't know her until I was a sophomore, honestly.
Okay.
Great girl, though. Great person.
Did they seem like they were going to go the distance?
I think, to me, they were the same person. Goofy, almost so, not what's the word I'm looking for? Not oblivious, but just kind of the world is great. Everything was great. Didn't matter if it was actually bad or if it was great. Everything was just great.
Everything is perfect.
Right, exactly. So it's almost just obliviousness in there, but they're smart, awesome people. So that, yeah, I don't know. No, I couldn't see a problem with them. I'm not going to put words in their mouth, but I could see them going the distance.
So was there an ex that Xana had that maybe was mad that she was moving on?
I don't know Xana that well, honestly. Not plugged into relationships and the drama that well in campus, I guess.
Okay. What about Ethan's past? Did he ever talk about growing up?
Not a ton past basketball and kind of club and things like that.
Club? What do you mean by
club basketball?
Okay.
Yeah. That's really what we kind of bonded over to start. When I first met him was I also played club basketball and traveled and, basketball all summer and all spring. And so that's kind of where we found our initial relationship was through basketball. But past that, before going, I really wasn't familiar with the area there from at all. Nor did they really speak about it a ton. So that's why I know that.
Okay. Did he ever mention having a problem with anybody at the apartments where he rented?
I never touched that subject with him, though.
Do you know if Ethan was ever involved? Was he ever stopped by the police or contacted by law enforcement before all this?
I don't believe so. Not that our executive board has ever heard of. Normally we hear about those kind of things.
Okay. So, could you describe his personal habits? I mean, what did he? Anything unusual?
No, he liked to play a lot of video games. He tolerated school. That's actually the reason why he wasn't. Probably know that. It's why he wasn't living in the house. No, nothing out of the regular.
Do you know what he wanted to do after school?
I don't, to be honest with you. I can't remember if it was him or on that, to be honest. No, okay. I'm not completely sure.
Any changes in his personality?
No, other than the fact that he wanted to be back in the house and was driving for that. So definitely more motivation, but not negative changes.
How are his interactions with other people that weren't Sigma Chi? Did he have any friends outside of Sigma Chi?
Yeah, he did. I know when they were going through Rush, they were very outgoing people, and I know a lot of people that really wanted them to be a part of their houses, and so that spoke to me pretty quickly of obviously they're outgoing people, and they just have those loving, friendly faces. When they smile, that you just want to talk to them. But I can't, again, I don't go out a ton to party or drink, do it. I'm a college kid, but it's not where I spend the majority of my time. So, I can't really speak to like a lot of his outside interactions at like events or things like that. A lot of the things I go to are pretty much just Sigma Chi events.
Okay. When you did stuff with other sororities, fundraisers, was he
normal, fine, no problems? Like one of the most people that brings in the most energy and gets people going. Yeah, no, never any issues.
Any significant events that happened prior to this, just around within the house, in the area, car wreck, thefts, break-ins, fights with other people?
Yeah, not relating to him. No.
What were you going to say?
But that was a couple month or two before, and that is not related to Ethan.
What is it?
Had an incident with the police. I think he's still dealing with it, to be honest, but can't speak on it, but I just know.
Is he a Sigma Chi?
Yeah, he is.
Do you remember what that was about?
It was a drunk driving related thing. But he plowed through a carport or something of the sorts, and he was dealing with that, but nothing before that.
Okay, let's talk about drugs a little bit here.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't care about drugs. We care about trying to solve homicide.
Yeah.
We understand that there was some drug use over 11/22. Do you know about that?
I don't. I never.
Let's listen to that again.
Here.
Yeah. Related.
Okay.
But he plowed through a carport or something of the sorts, and he was dealing with that, but nothing before that.
Okay, let's talk about drugs a little bit here.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't care about drugs. We care about trying to solve homicide.
Yeah.
We understand that there was some drug use over 11/22. Do you know about that?
I don't. I never spent enough time over there to really find out about those kind of things.
If you wanted to source Adderall, where would you go?
I know there's a couple guys in the house that have prescriptions. If I wanted to Sourcing makes it sound bad. Makes it
If you're
sound
looking
like
for someone to sell you Adderall, where would you
see that. Yeah.
So there's a couple people that have prescriptions.
Yeah, but like I'm not buying it from them. Like at that point, it's just like hey man, like I just need to get this assignment done, like something like that. Like
fair enough.
I don't want to give you the impression that people are dealing Adderall out of our house. It's not like what's going on.
That's not what I think is going on. Frankly, I think it's a different house. But what about cocaine? No idea.
No idea. I mean, if you want to hear I would assume that I could find a Delt that would sell me some, but that's also my just kind of.
I think that's probably right.
Preconceived prejudice opinion, maybe.
Why do you think that is?
I've had a couple of them come up to me at the Quarter Club, and
dude, that's so weird. There's a total inside joke, and there's or not even a joke. There's just a tone that you can tell that guy's obviously, I believe from what I've seen in the chat, but I do believe he was in that same frat. Obviously in the last interview, he said, I lived there too. There's, why would that be?
Yeah. Ask if I have anything on me or anything that they might be able to use.
Right. How about online behavior with Ethan? Did he do anything online unusual? Did he have any contacts online?
No, and like,
do you play games with people from like back home?
Xbox, we just play with I play with one of my, but he just lives at. He's like my brother. I grew up with him since I was 2, I think.
So we've got the Sigma Chi community.
Yeah.
And we've got grown up home family community.
Yeah.
What other communities is Ethan part of? I know somebody said he plays intramural sports.
Yeah.
And then he's got his classes that he takes.
Yeah.
So what, besides those 4 pots of people, what other pots might we find him in?
They're looking for a connection. Again, that's why he's asked that question in every, or at least the last 2. Who is he connected to? Because they're trying to find some sort of link as far as for the victimology.
If that makes sense.
I mean, honestly, and like the way he was so outgoing, so where like I almost wouldn't even group like it would as Sigma Chi, it would be like Greek life almost, which is like the hard part too of like he was an outgoing person like that. He knew a lot of people liked him. I forgot the kids. I think it's or something. I'm unfamiliar, but I know that they were best friends and like made a great relationship through Rush.
Who he was best friends with?
I can't remember. No, it's not Jay. To be frank, it's the kid who called 911.
Oh,
Hunter. Sorry, Hunter. Yes, Hunter, not Jay. Sorry, misspoke.
Where are you from?
I'm from. Yeah, okay. My family's originally from. So,
did you know?
No, I didn't.
Or didn't shelter?
No, I grew up on the east side, so I pretty much stayed in my 15-minute radius there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know about Ethan's schedule? Like what he did every day?
No, to be honest, he texted me probably around noon every day to play Fortnite or some type of video game.
Were his classes online or were they in person?
I'm honestly not sure, to be honest. I most of the time couldn't play with him at noon because I'm in my heavy course load because I'm in my last 2 semesters here, so I'm in my series classes taking 18 credits, so most of the time I couldn't play, but he would text me just about every day asking if I could.
Okay.
Same answer. Homework, dog. I'm sorry.
Any recent changes to his schedule?
No.
You're right, Brandon. That is how he talks.
So this is going to sound kind of formal, but this is actually worded pretty well. Inquire as to any instance where the victim ever discussed or displayed fear, concern, or discomfort about a particular person or situation. Anything?
No.
Did you ever express concern about one of the girls over at 1122, about somebody giving them a bad time?
No. I can't say that topic came up between him and I all that often. I was honestly closer with than I was Ethan, but I think that's also because he's still in the house and I could talk to him more often. But
fair enough.
Those kind of topics never really came up when Ethan and I had the chance to talk. It was kind of just more goofy, good times and.
I think we already covered this, but anyone who didn't get along with him, or they had conflict with each other, that maybe he tried to just avoid him because they just didn't get along. No. Nothing like that. No. Well, was Ethan employed?
I don't believe so. I worked at the tulip fields when I went to the Celebration of Life.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know the name of those tulip fields, but I know they did that over the summer. And then I think they might have worked.
The redactions are crazy.
But again, I just learned that at the.
Excuse me. What I was just going to say, though, it is interesting. I've been trying to pay attention to like what they redact outside of names. And that tulip shop, both people have brought up. I'm not saying that they're not redacting it simply because they're protecting a business name. That could absolutely be it. But I've been trying to pay attention when I listen to any of the interviews. Is there a certain theme that they redact because they're asking about a connection? And so to me, that might tell me that that's still sensitive to release. I'm not sure.
A Celebration of Life.
If they worked, you know what they did? Was Ethan a big golfer?
I don't think he did that much up here.
He played intramural sports, is that right?
Yeah.
What intramural sports did he play?
Volleyball, basketball, maybe badminton.
Is that really?
Football, yeah. We had a wrestling intramural. He didn't do wrestling, but we had one this year, which was crazy. Let's see. Soccer. I don't know. Pretty much anyone he could get his name on there for.
Again, ever have any conflicts with anybody with intramural sports that?
No, nothing like that. Yeah.
Did you know if he did anything for money other than a job? Was money ever an issue? Was he ever not able to pay his bills, or did he ever make a big purchase where people were like, "Wow, where'd the money come from?" and anything like that?
I wonder why.
How do I word that? Like if he needed something, they're always there. Like, you need anything, like, it's not a bad way to live.
Struggle for money.
Right, yeah.
Did you notice whether the way that he spent his time or the people he was hanging out with had changed in the weeks preceding his death?
No, I think he's pretty much stuck with the same people for the past year and a half. I think that's about how long him and Xana, about a year or something like that, and really spent a lot of time with us. And then the only other person I knew that he spent a lot of time with was Hunter, but I know that their relationship was great. So,
okay. What cars did he drive?
I only remember him riding passenger with, I believe, when they would go to get Taco Bell, but that's because my car's in the parking lot too. So it's kind of just like places I'm at often were the places that I saw him often. I never really saw him in his own car if he ever had one. I'm really not sure.
Where did he eat most of the time?
Taco Bell. Every time, where you going? Eat Taco Bell.
Was he religious? Did he go to church?
Not that I know.
I assume you would have said something, but to ask the question.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody that has that kind of car? Ever seen that car in the area?
I haven't. No.
Are you a hunter? Outdoorsman?
Yeah, I guess. My dad's way more avid than I am. Probably wishes I was a bit more, but I just got my hunting license a year ago or so.
Okay, I'm going to show you a picture of a knife. This is a very unique looking knife just because of, well, have you ever seen a knife like this before? Do you know what kind of knife that is? Do you know anybody who owns one?
No, I don't. I'm familiar with the K-bar because I've seen them at like gun shops and things like that, but no, I don't know.
Really unique handle.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Leather wrapping.
Okay. Unfamiliar.
So these last questions are going to be a little weird, but they're kind of supposed to be. When did you hear that this had happened?
I heard before anyone else in the house, really. I heard it from my friend who had heard that there was a group of deceased people and that one of them might be Ethan. And I just stepped out of my room for the first time. He's our.
I was once your. True story,
right?
Okay, so he told you, and when you fully realized what had happened, that there were 4 people that had been murdered via being stabbed, and one of them was Ethan, one of them was Xana, and they were at that 1122 house. What was your initial take? What did you first think?
I don't know. I wasn't that close with the girls, so I was kind of missing a lot of pieces in that sense of like I didn't even honestly tell like I didn't know the other 3. I didn't even know that Xana was there with Ethan. I just heard Ethan's name, and then probably 3 or 4 days after I figured out the other people, or we heard or somehow. But honestly, my initial reaction wasn't even like, how did this happen? It was, or like, what happened? It was just like, Ethan, like, that was the only thing I could think about was just like, nobody should have to go through that, and like especially not him out of all people. Like he was the least deserving of that. Like that, I feel like that was the only thing I could think of was the fact that like, again, I wouldn't wish that upon anyone else in the world, but especially him. Like he never deserved that. I feel like that was the only thing that kept running through my head for the first 3 days.
It's so weird to say he never deserved that. Well, did somebody else deserve that then? Right? It's an odd way of saying it. Yeah, he's saying way too much.
Just because he was such a good person.
Just like the most impeccable. Like, again, not the smartest, not the hardest working all the time, but like just the most genuine ever. Like that, he never lacked that ever. So
if you had to attribute, I mean, what did you suspect who did you suspect had done this? Or what type of person would you suspect had done this? And what do you think their motivations might have been?
I don't know. I guess when I heard that there was no sexual mutilation of the bodies, it is almost more frightful in the sense of still being hurt, or like that person still being in an area, because like that changes the motive or like the reasoning behind it a lot, right? So I guess that's kind of was my main thing. I don't really know what I thought out of that, but I was just more taken aback by that, I guess, of the fact that like there was like it was just to kill. There was no like that's what stuck with me the hardest, I guess. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
no, it's a good take on it. Some people say interesting things that it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Do you think it could be somebody within the Greek system that did this, that knew them? Do you think there's people in the Greek system that are capable of this?
I believe so.
Wow. And Blue Eyed Candy did say maybe he meant motivation, not mutilation. I don't know. Either way, it's weird, but he definitely said, yeah.
The Greek system that are capable, that knew them. Do you think there's people in the Greek system that are capable of this?
I believe so. I couldn't put names to that, or like, but there's situations, even like don't take this in the wrong way at all, but I live alone in that bottom room. Like I could walk out and do anything at any point in the night, and none of my brothers would ever know. So like, it's.
Dude, this guy needs to just stop talking. What is he doing? What is this guy doing? Why would he ever say that? What a dumbass. Honestly, nobody would ever know. I live alone. I could get out and wow, there was no sexual mutilation. Somebody just did that to kill. And now the way that he's talking about like bright, beaming smiles sounds insane, kind of.
I believe so.
Do you think it could be somebody within the Greek system that did this, that knew them? Do you think there's people in the Greek system that are capable of this?
I believe so. I couldn't put names to that, or like, but there's situations, even like don't take this in the wrong way at all, but I live alone in that bottom room. Like I could walk out and do anything at any point in the night, and none of my brothers would ever know. So like, it's people think it would be hard, but like it would not be that hard for someone to, tiptoe out of their house at 3 a.m. and all their buddies are drunk, or who knows, there's a lot of different circumstances people are in that I think would allow opportunity for this. And my gut, I've talked to Jim about this a lot, and we're kind of on the same page, but just I don't believe, I mean, you guys know more than me, but I don't believe that it could be a traveling person. I mean, again, it's not hard to guess what a college kid's doing on a Saturday, whatever, but to me, it was a bit more meditated than that. And to me, it's like someone wouldn't just be able to like waltz through Moscow on a weekend and hit timing points like that. And like Thanksgiving.
He's pretty much saying down the road right now where we're at, it couldn't have been Brian Cumber. You can't just do that. It's like, you can't just waltz into Moscow.
Break and snow on the ground and like things like that, where there was like, that's where I think it sadly came from. Someone, maybe not the Greek community, but someone who had
a lot of people are from out of town.
Yeah.
Ball games.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And, these especially, the girls have big social media presences.
Yeah.
A lot of postings of photos online and whatnot.
Yeah.
You could digitally stalk someone these days.
That's true. I don't know. I think it'd be hard for someone to hit those kind of time periods just because, it's easy to guess that they're drinking, but time periods are so sporadic on those kind of things. I don't know. I don't think someone could come through on a weekend and get that kind of luck. And I don't think it was luck.
Whether or not he's right on who did it, in my opinion, what I think we're seeing play out here is he absolutely, as he's talking about this, he has somebody's name or two people. He has someone's names in his head. Jesus, I can't talk. When he's talking, it is obvious that in his mind, there are people that he is thinking through when he answers, yes, there are certain people capable of this. And it's seeming like, even if he's not describing himself, which is sus, don't get me wrong, we all heard that. It's a terrible way to put it. So if it's not talking about himself in that sketchy manner, he seems to be describing somebody exactly how he is envisioning the person in his head could have done it, in my opinion.
Kids probably do get a lot of tips, huh?
Is there anything else that you haven't talked about that you think that we should know about Ethan or you or the victims or anything?
No.
Okay. So on the night before, were you around at the house?
I was. I helped set up the lodge for the lodge party we had. Moved all the couches into the study and stuff. And then I probably hung out at the party. So we always have someone who's sober. So I was kind of one of those guys that night. I wasn't assigned, but I just was hanging out up top. And then I went to bed about 12:30.
That was a controlled entrance party.
Yeah.
Anything happened at the party?
No.
Nobody getting yelling match with somebody? No fights?
No, it was smooth. All of our parties go smooth. Jay is a very good negotiator when it comes to getting people out that he doesn't care to have in there. So we never really have conflicts or problems with guys with girls or things like that.
Did you notice if Kaylee or Maddie came to the party?
I didn't,
Do you think you would have noticed if they had come?
Honestly, no. I don't really keep an eye out for people like that. I'm ready to get my degree and get out of here.
So did you see Ethan and Xana at the party?
No, I just saw setting up the lodge earlier, but I never saw Ethan and Xana in the lodge.
Dude, this guy would be on my radar big time. He says, I don't have an alibi. People are capable of it. Nobody would know if you tiptoe out at 3 a.m. when they're all drunk. I stay sober. I don't really drink it all that much. And I don't really keep an eye out for people like that. Dude, there is something to be said about the way that he phrases it, in my opinion. Again, first time I'm hearing this, so that's my kind of initial thought process.
So if you didn't see him, you don't know what time he left. Did you happen to go to the other formal, I think it was the sorority? Did you happen to go to that?
I wasn't.
Anything else we haven't talked about?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the interview at 5:08.
Wow, I am glad that we switched away from that Mason dude and we started watching Kelvin. That was insane. Both of them are insane. So again, shout out to Connor.H8. Here's his page if you guys want to check out his FOIA videos. And Hive, tonight was a fun, random late night stream. Like I said, I go live weeknights at 7 p.m. Central. I most likely will not be on tomorrow, but I will be back on Monday night at 7 p.m. Do not miss this week. I got some very interesting stuff. I've been sent this video by Amber Vance by a handful of people talking about the documents, and item number 1 being the K-bar and how there's Jack Showalter's and Connor Chestnut's DNA. The documents look as if it's saying that item is tied to their DNA. It's very interesting. If you have not watched Amber Vance's video on it, please try to watch that before Monday, because we're going to be diving into that, especially now with these interviews. This just really goes to show you that there could be things that are recorded on record that we don't know, because after hearing this, outside of even what the people being interviewed are saying, the police absolutely have their suspicion into the Greek life. There's not a question about that. How can you say that they don't? So I hope you all enjoyed this stream watching the Conrad Harrison interview and the Kelvin Cobbley interview. Have a great Easter, everybody, and I will see you Monday at 7 p.m. Central. Cheers.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.